No, sir, I don't like it.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to No Sir Pod, the 200th episode, the bicentennial, right?
No. Maybe. No, yeah, that's bicentennial.
Right?
Yeah, that is.
The 200th episode of the podcast where we talk about shit we don't like with people we adore. Today is no exception. I have one of my dear friends in stand-up comedy, legend, comedian, D&D master, pod, and the ground floor of podcasting. I mean,
Right.
we're you've done everything. Jackie
I've done it all,
Kashian,
except
everybody.
for game. I've never dungeon mastered. I've
You've never done
game
it?
mastered.
It seems
I've
like a lot
always-
of paperwork, honestly.
It's mostly it's storytelling and story writing, and then you got a cat wrangle. So I'm good. I'm good with. I wouldn't mind doing it just because my fella is working on a new tabletop RPG, and he was putting together the pitch deck.
Mhm.
And he said, and that's my wanna get for the game master. And it was some woman I had never seen before, and I was like, what about me?
I'm right here.
I'm right here. Oh, I don't know how to run a game. You're right. I know how to play a game. And so there you go. So I had to let it go.
Yeah, because I mean, you've done plenty of storytelling because you did the comic book as well, which I have, which was really good.
Right. I would like to also do more comic books, but here, and this is on me.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out they ask you once. You got to ask them a million times back.
Okay.
I'd like to ask again. I would like to do another comic book. And I tried to ask. I had an idea for a comic book, and I emailed an editor at Marvel that I knew, and he was like, "Okay, maybe in a couple of weeks I'm willing to hear the pitch." And so I checked in with him in a couple of weeks. Felt very 1990s, 80s.
Yeah.
Trying to get work doing stand-up comedy because he just kept kicking the can down the thing, and he's like, yeah, I don't think I'm accepting anything new right now. And I was like,
Probably should have said that a couple months ago, the first time I asked.
I said, I'm just going to write it. And he goes, don't write it.
What? Why?
And I was like, oh, I take it you're never going to read it. Okay. He's like, why waste your time writing it? I'm never going to read it. I'm glad he didn't say it like that.
Right.
But that's essentially what he said.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I appreciate the honesty.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that more than the kicking the can, as you called it. That's always excruciating to me. I'd prefer a no, even if it's a blunt or abrupt.
Right.
Than
right.
In Leganese or whatever it is.
Right. Feel free to just say no. And the thing is, if people who booked, this is no, sir, do not like, I'll say this.
They said the name of the podcast on the podcast.
On the podcast. Let me say, do not like it when I will say this is if bookers, casting people, audition agents, managers, if they got used to saying no, thank you, they could say it and it wouldn't feel so bad.
Yeah.
Because they would, if you said it often enough, you would figure out a way to just go, no, thank you. And a very direct, it's sort of like when a guy keeps hitting on you.
Right.
And many different men have approached you to say whatever weird, stupid thing they're going to say.
They shoot their shot, so to speak.
They shoot their shot. If you have learned how to say no, thank you in a strong enough way, it should just work.
Right.
Like
not in like a coy, no, stop. Like,
no,
but you're like, I appreciate
please,
that.
Or please no.
Yeah.
Please no.
Please no, please no.
No, please no. No means no, but no, please no, and no those are two not no's. Those are two try harder and I'm a pushy, gross person. I'm gonna keep trying. With no, thank you. I'm actually busy right now.
I appreciate the compliment, but no, thank you.
No. And then from that point on, if pressured, you get to not be polite.
Yes.
Right. And so that could also work for bookers. It could also work for agents and for casting people. It's not the end of the world to say no, but it is a learned skill.
Yes.
So,
Because some people, you can tell people are bad at it, but that's why I think that's why is they're either non-confrontational or they're uncomfortable. Like they don't say no in their own life.
Right.
And so they don't know how to do it.
Yep.
And man, so freeing saying
So-
no. It's so
Yeah,
freeing to say no.
it really is.
Yeah.
Because then everybody knows where you stand.
Mm-hmm. There's no
And-
wondering. It's not weird. It's just like, I appreciate your audition, but no thank you. I appreciate this, but no thank you.
My personal appearance agent, TJ Markwalter,
Mhm.
of probably a decade, who retired last year, boo-hoo,
Mhm.
because he was really good at his job.
Mhm.
For 17 years previously, every 5-6 years, I would ask him as he would move from one place to another. And initially he would say, I'm actually letting go of clients. I'm not taking any new clients.
Mhm.
The second time I asked him, he said, I'm not taking new clients right now. And the third time I asked him, this is 5-year increments, 7-year increments. He said,
Sorry, you're playing with the spring and it's just going right up.
what is happening? Not good. So good call. So the third time I asked him he said, no, I can't do it now. So, and I didn't pressure him every 6 months.
Right.
I pressured him every 4 to 7 years.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair. If you wanted to date me and you asked me every 4 to 7 years.
Well, yeah, your taste buds change every 7 years. So, you could change your taste.
Right. Exactly. Now would be the time. I could also say, still married.
Yeah.
And it's going okay. So thank you so much. Yeah. So that's my first one, I guess.
Yeah. We know that one we didn't even plan. That was,
No.
it just came organically. What is one that you have planned? So we make sure to cover it.
Oh, I wonder. I did write them down. I forgot to bring that piece of paper with me. Yeah. Do other people hate it when people come unprepared to podcasts? I do. I don't like it. Podcast, it's not that much work. Some podcasts are more work than other podcasts. Like I'm doing next Monday. I'm doing Alice Hamilton's podcast where it's called Realms Unknown,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I do the Bugle,
Mm-hmm.
and both of those, the Bugle actually has a great deal of prep, but it also, get this, pays. So if you would like me to prep, I will definitely prep if you give me money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give me some warning, which you did. You
Mhm.
did give me warning. So
You've also done this podcast before. So
it's true.
Yeah.
One of my pet peeves is people who don't prep for podcasts.
Is it?
The next episode of The Dork Forest is with a very nice young man who wanted, and it's going to be thedorkforest.com. My brother Russ does this week. Overprepared. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. Plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
Movies about business.
Oh, so like the Wolf of Wall Street and Glengarry Glen Ross and The Boiler Room, all of those kinds of films?
Kind of, but not. You picked Glengarry Glen Ross, which he picked.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, did you like Tin Men, as we were talking?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that's a comedy about Glengarry Glen Ross. I didn't like the Tin Men.
Oh,
He said it was
gotcha.
okay, but it wasn't one of his favorites.
Gotcha.
So he picked like 2 movies from the 30s, 1 movie from the 40s, 3 movies from the 50s, 2 movies from the 60s, 2 movies from the 70s, nothing from the 2000s.
Really? There was several of them. That's
Right.
Basically all the ones I brought up.
I think Boiler Room and Wolf of Wall Street and Wall Street were all from
Mhm.
the 2000s. 2010s, he went Margin Call,
Mhm.
Big Shot?
Oh, did
the-
he do The Big Short?
Big Short.
That's
it.
Yeah, that's the movie about the collapse in the
Right.
housing crisis.
He did 3 movies about that.
Mm-hmm.
Actually 4. Those were the last ones. Because the 3 that he picked was Margin Call, The Big Shot? The
Big
Big Short.
Short.
Sorry. The Big Short and forgetting the third. But they were essentially about the federal, they were about the regulators,
Mm-hmm.
the people who tried to steal the money, and the people who just worked at the places that stole the money.
Mm-hmm.
None of it was about the people who were affected by having their money stolen.
Right.
Until Hustler, which was the movie with J-Lo about strip clubs in New York, right after the crash of 2006-8,
Mhm.
the mortgage crash,
Mhm.
because the strip club industry was affected greatly in New York,
Mhm.
because all of those shitwits would have spend all their money
At strip clubs.
at strip clubs. And so
Mhm.
J-Lo, Cardi B, Lizzo
Mhm.
was in Hustler, and he said it was kind of a great movie about how it affected normal people.
Mhm.
And so he was overprepared, and it was great. It was a wonderful thing. This young man, Bobby Dolan, very interesting. And I wish he had more prep,
Yeah.
just because he wanted to talk about his favorite jersey numbers for football and baseball and basketball and hockey.
Okay.
And at one point, I'm just throwing numbers out. He led with a good one, number 8,
Right.
Cal Ripken.
But also, is it a numerology thing? Like, we could get into, like, is it because they represent the person, or is it just that you like the numbers? Like, I mean, we
Are
could
they
get
favorite
into it.
numbers?
That's why
Right.
it's like, there is something to be said about being a comedian, because you could bullshit a lot better.
Right.
You could
Right,
have
right.
an opinion about something, whether you know about it or not.
Right. And the Dork Forest is and 19 years later, I'm better at pulling that stuff out of people.
Mhm.
But it was I like, and afterwards, that numerology question would have been a great question.
Mhm.
And I do a little piece at the end where I talk to Andy about the show,
Mhm.
and that could be 10 minutes.
Mhm.
But he usually asks me questions that I'm like, oh, that would have been a great question.
Mhm.
Too late.
Too late.
Anyway, gotta have him on next time. And so we could have done a lateral thing just about jerseys in general, because he used to collect jerseys and stuff. But I like it when people are sort of overprepared for, like the previous episode before the movie episode, Roselle Hurley talked about miniature plastic horses. She collects tiny plastic, and she did as a child, and it's called like Briar stablemates,
Mhm.
and you can show your plastic pony.
You know what? This is a slightly off topic, but more about you
Please.
and not less about the podcast. Is you don't, for a nerd, you don't collect anything.
This came up in the jersey number one, because it turns out I do collect stuff.
What do you collect?
I collect, and I didn't know I collected until I bought like probably the 25th baseball hat.
You have 25 baseball hats?
I have a lot of baseball caps.
Man, I did not even know that.
Well, that's because I don't consider it a collection until Andy was like, you collect baseball caps. And I was like, well, I don't like baseball. And he's like, I know. But you do like a baseball hat.
Could care less about the sport.
Yeah.
I just like the accessory.
I just like a brim. I like it. And plus, when like I need a haircut pretty bad right now. And so I wear a hat usually when I need that haircut.
Mhm.
And it's, yeah, so I showed him my baseball hats. Like I have the Dodgers.
Mhm.
The LA Dodgers is a baseball team, and
Right.
they have a Japanese guy who is a pitcher,
Mhm.
and he's a big
There's a huge
deal.
mural of him in K-Town, I believe.
His name might be Ohani. Oh, I forget his name.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter, because what I did was I bought the novelty baseball cap
Mhm.
that Major League Baseball released
Oh yeah, with Dodgers, but in Japanese.
in
right?
Japanese.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I bought that hat, and people wear it with a flat brim, but I've always bent the brim. I like bending the brim.
You like a curved brim.
I like a curved brim. But now I'm torn when I wear
You're
it.
also not like a Dominican dude in Queens, New York. There's
right,
a lot of flat
wearing an
brims.
Adidas sweatsuit.
Yeah, or a bro. That's also very bro. Like
And it's a bro.
SoCal
It's a broy thing. It's a super broy thing. But I will say this: I did buy a sweatsuit because I saw a bro wearing a sweatsuit, and it gave me the tingles in my pants. And I remember how I buy clothes sometimes because I like how men are wearing them. I met last night several women who reminded me of me because they didn't look like they had male husbands, but they all had male husbands.
Right. It's the I think that's kind of in vogue. It's kind of a to me culturally it makes sense when you have all of these broy dudes, when you have all these like young male Republicans who are like, fuck women, like they're bitches, man. It's cyclical. They're
Yeah.
into the bitches, man era. And that's like women who are a little bit more androgynous or not scared of their own the masculinity within
Right.
them, when they're not all like just trying to be these submissive
Weird
and
trad wife.
yeah, trad wifey type of whatever my husband said. Like women who think for themselves.
Right, they're a whole person.
They get to be a whole
there
person.
are plenty of men who like women who are whole people.
Yes, turns out they're the ones that are not miserable bitching about women.
Right, and they're getting some. It's nice.
That's because it turns out,
Right.
once you appreciate that I have thoughts, man, talk about tingling pants.
Right. Talk about a turn on.
Woo!
I know. And I was talking to some friend of mine who also, she was saying, she's a little bit older than I am, and I am older than some people. But she's older and weirdly talks about being older. And she's like, but she also talked about, she's been married to this guy for 30 odd years, and she has never initiated sex.
Never.
And I was like, do you like having sex? She's like, yeah, I like it. And I was like, do you ever just think to yourself, boy, I would like to have sex? And she's like, I don't. And he knows that about me. So, but he would like to have it at least twice a week. And I'm like, I like it like once a week. And so like a real conversation where you're like, and he's like, okay, we can have it once a week. And then nobody has a problem in that relationship if a guy has to take care of his own needs once a week.
You got to jerk it. Yeah. If you get a jerk it, then you know you got to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to have to, okay.
Please do.
Yeah.
If you touch yourself, A, I don't think it's a sin. B,
you're not going to go blind. That's not true.
That's another not true. The third thing is if it puts you in a better mood.
Yeah.
Or it bleeds off some sort of anxiety or just anger or just grump.
Well, yeah, and then you don't immediately get on Call of Duty and be a piece of shit, you know?
Right,
Jerk off before you play Call of Duty. That's my
then
hot
play
take.
Call of Duty, and by the way, you'll probably be more focused and you'll make more shots.
Yep. Better sniper if you're all calmed down. You're not all like, oh, I wish I could. Please do. Sometimes when I'm in just a grumpy mood, I like to rub one out, and that is a big information for people who maybe didn't need it. But it is. But also, I feel like that the whole getting the venom out is always such a thing that's been pushed to dudes that I think a lot of times women, we just hold on to that anxiety and not realizing. Like, I remember having a conversation with my aunt. This was years ago. She was like, I was just being a bitch. I was being a bitch to everybody.
Right.
And she was like, and then an alarm went off on my phone, was like, have you masturbated recently?
Yeah.
She would put a reminder on her phone because you get so busy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It doesn't occur the same way as it occurs to dudes, I think.
Maybe not. And one of the great things about being a stand-up comic is that there's a 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. nap time when you can spend that time watching your HGTV or your Bones marathon or masturbating. And in all cases, you've taken that's a little you take care of yourself.
So many times I've been working with someone and they're like, all right, I'm gonna go take a nap. And then you know.
Everyone knows.
We all know.
It's when I take a bath, so I'm clean for the night. It's where I might take a 20-minute nap. It's where I watch whatever the hell is on. Castle? What's happening? Resident Evil Alien? Is that in syndication yet? Because it should be. NCIS?
Sure.
Whatever is on USA or TNT. I watched half an hour, 40 minutes of that and then I also take care of and just have a nice release.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Orgasm is the technical term. Big fan.
That's part of your pre-show routine.
Yeah, you know what? It is part of my pre-show routine. And the next time some banana head asks me, "What's your pre-show routine?"
Yeah,
because you know that what they mean
is
when you get to the club,
right?
Like then, what do you do? Do you do a shot?
Pace or do you take a shot or
do you stare at your set
pray?
list?
What do you do?
Do you shout out to
like
Satan
I take a 20-minute
God?
Nap to a show I could care less about. I rub one out and I take a bath.
That's it. and sit and I watch a mediocre television show that is excellent. Is Supergirl on? First 3 seasons? Let's do it. Anyway, that's what I've been doing with the dogs because of the booms.
Mm-hmm.
Andy's been leaving Reacher on,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been leaving Supergirl on because when I go out and there might be booms because Gordy doesn't like booms.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
if you prefer booms, there's not bombs being dropped where she lives. She's talking about fireworks.
Fireworks. Yes, we do live in Los Angeles, but guess what? It's still gorgeous. It's great. There's no riots. It's happening. I know you want it to be ground zero of the Civil War, but not yet.
Nope.
Motherfucker. Here's a pet peeve. Nazis.
Oh, there you
Fucking-
go. You know what? All this time I've had this podcast, nobody's brought up
Nobody's
Nazis.
brought up Nazis? Oh, those fucks. Jackbooted thugs. Don't like them. A matter of fact, I went to the Home Depot today just to sort of do a lap
Mm-hmm.
and see if I can get in the way of some bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And there were no ice guys there. So
Oh, that's good.
that's good. There were people looking for work
Mm-hmm.
like they do.
Mm-hmm.
And this, by the way, is someone who hires those guys. So there was a lot of hopeful. And I was like, I'm sorry, man. I was just gonna get in the way of bad behavior if I needed to.
Currently don't have any work for you.
And so we did order a Murphy bed.
Oh, no shit.
No shit. We ordered like a little hideaway bed so that we can turn Chris's room, which used to be a guest room, into a guest room again, but can also be another kind of room, like
An
a game
activities room, yeah.
activities room, an office.
I love a Murphy bed.
Mm-hmm.
I have always been a fan. I always thought it was like magic that you could have a bed in a room that's not on the ground.
Laurie Kilmartin says that hundreds of people are killed every year in a Murphy
Rightfully
bed.
so.
And and I said, not a chance. Maybe one, if that, every 5 to 10.
She's been watching too many 1990s comedies is what's happening.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like the big quicksand fad in the 80s where everybody would get stuck in quicksand.
That
was
also
like,
happened in the 50s.
yeah.
It comes
everything's
back.
cyclical, yeah. Much like Nazis. Which
Yeah.
You don't like.
Oh. Yeah, the Coeur d'Alene Nazis. I posted something about the horrible guy who killed firefighters,
Mhm.
and he was a Nazi.
Mhm.
And the Coeur d'Alene is famous for their Nazis. It's in Idaho. In the 90s, they were real psyched about it. And some woman from Coeur d'Alene was like, there's no Nazis here anymore. And I was like, oh, because they've hidden themselves. Because they got bad pub doesn't mean there's no Nazis.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
Did you ever watch the Watchmen TV show?
Was
came out
that
during
the guy with
lockdown?
the comedian? No,
Yeah.
I think I watched
The movie.
I think I watched the movie. I don't think I ever watched the TV show.
Oh, the TV show. I had to watch it from the doorway. So you, who likes scary and likes tension and enjoys possible, I mean, I don't even know if you'd like it because it's incredibly dark and smart and funny, and it's a sequel to the comic book.
Gotcha. Okay.
Alan Moore, of course, who is a bit of a tool bag, he was like, I don't sanction it. Give me the check. And he's like, it's my people. Yes, you can use my characters. Anyway, don't put my name on it. Just pay me. Put my name on the check. And I love Alan Moore for just put my name on the check. He wrote V for Vendetta.
Mm-hmm.
And he's amazing for dystopian futures, which I don't enjoy.
Right.
I don't enjoy. Here's another that's something.
Hmm.
That was right. That's right. That's what was the one I wanted to talk about. Anti-heroes.
Ah, yes. We are in the age of anti-hero. There's no fucking heroes anymore, apparently. Right. I don't know why any piece of media can come out now and just a person do the right thing because it's good and for the betterment of humans. It's like they're trying to fucking get us to not believe that exists anymore.
Right. They're just like, no, everyone's flawed. No, I don't know.
It's everyone that's greenlighting these fucking projects is
flawed. Right.
All of these rich kids are flawed.
Right. They're just like, well, I think that you could be a monster, but then maybe do good. And you're like, or don't be a monster.
Yeah.
How about that? And there are billions. The planet has 8 billion people on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go at least 6 billion. That feels conservative.
Mhm.
Are just normal, decent human beings.
Yeah.
And there's, I tried desperately to watch Breaking Bad. I
Mhm.
really did. And I made it through until the ATM machine, which is redundant. The cash machine fell on the girlfriend and killed her.
Mhm.
Spoiler alert, a show that's 100 years old.
Yeah, that scene is fucked up.
That scene's fucked up. But that was the scene where I was like, oh, none of these people are
Mhm.
going to get recovery, are going to be saved, are
Mm-mm.
going to save themselves or anyone else.
Mm-mm.
And when I should have realized it was the very moment when Walter was like, oh, I'm not going to get a different job. I'm going to give up and just sell meth.
Mhm.
Guess what? You're a genius. There's other work for you. You don't have to. You're like, oh, I'm doing it for my wife. No, you aren't. No, you aren't.
As
You
we
are not-
find out later,
You
boy,
aren't-
it was
you
she an
are-
afterthought.
Yeah, you are not doing it for your wife or your kid or the baby or anybody. You're doing it because you remember that Maria does that joke where the punchline is, if you can lean, you can clean.
Mhm.
You don't want to clean.
Yeah.
You want to direct. Guess what? Be an extra. How about that? Be a worker among workers, you dipshit. And, put on the suit. Save somebody.
Yeah.
And I just watched the 3rd episode of Riri Williams
Mhm.
of the and they better treat this right, man. She just made a choice. She's the hero, Ironheart. That's the new she was in the last Black Panther movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's genius engineer, right?
Mhm.
And she's making some compromises
Mhm.
so that she can get the money to build her Iron Man suit.
Mhm.
So because and we know why. Her friend and her stepdad were killed.
Yes.
And they were the best.
Mhm.
And so but she makes a huge error in that 3rd episode. This one is new. Not going to tell you what it is. So I'm not going to spoiler this one.
So you're just hoping that they don't make her into some sort of fucking anti-hero as well. Like
Right.
it's all of it. The boys, like,
Yeah.
the Venom, all of those things. And I like Venom. As a character, I've enjoyed
And the
Venom.
Punisher.
Yes.
I
and
don't like the
Punisher's
people that
been-
have co-opted the Punisher.
Correct.
But if you've ever read the Punisher, you know that the Punisher
is against all of these things these people wearing fucking Punisher t-shirts
are
for.
Yes, he would punish them. It turns out he would vigilante your ass. So keep it together. Read the origin
Mhm.
story, and then you'll find out why he's the Punisher. And I still don't like. I mean, I have read some Punishers that are okay.
Mhm.
I get why Nick Fury has made some moral compromises, but you know who doesn't make any moral compromises? Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Captain America. He doesn't. The Falcon. Captain America. Sam Wilson. He does not. He is not interested in your, well, I'm going to vote because this is almost good. You're like, no. When
Yeah.
Steve Rogers found out about the original super soldier serum, which was tested on black soldiers first, most of whom, almost all of them died, except for Elijah. And it worked with him, and then they wouldn't let him wear the suit because he was black. And they were like, no, and then they set him up and sent him to prison for 30 years. I mean, literally the worst.
Yeah.
And so he gets out of prison, and Steve Rogers finds this old file. And he is like, if you get a chance to read Red, White, and Black, Truth, written and drawn, I believe, by Kyle Baker, one of the greats. I don't know where that guy is. He also wrote an amazing Plastic Man. Anyway, he's very funny. He wrote his own comic strip as well. Very sweet about his family.
Mhm.
And but Truth, Red, White, and Black, Truth is so good because it's about World War II and how, Elijah turns into an amazing Captain America
Mhm.
in World War II as well. But they don't want him to be Captain America because he's black and he would be the face of Captain America. But when Steve Rogers finds out, he goes and he finds him. And he's like, what can I do?
Right.
Would you want me to give it up?
Mhm.
Because this is tainted and gross.
Yeah.
And Elijah's
It
like,
goes against everything that I was
fighting,
and
told.
and I'm fighting for, and like, so it's like now I don't want.
Yeah.
It's like trying to listen to music from somebody after they're a piece of shit. It's just like, this doesn't sound this sucks now.
Right. And
you ruined it.
And you read into the lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
and you try and watch a Woody Allen movie now. Ugh. You're just like, I can't do it. Leave your stepdaughter alone. I know she's 21, but you know what she wasn't? Always 21. And you were there.
You were there plotting.
13. Oh, can't wait till she's 18. Gross. So foul. So foul.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm also sick of it, and it's just like, because it's like most people aren't in this moral quandary. To me, it's you, the people who are producing these shows. You are in this moral quandary. You are the ones changing the stories. Then with that, and then your
somehow
compensation for it, justifying it by then we have a black black chick in Little Mermaid, and then everybody goes, well, then that's the other thing too. It's just like they do all these like weird. There's a reason people are fucking tired of Marvel right now, is they're tired of things that they've enjoyed being bastardized and changed into these weird narratives that are not there. It's also the same thing with people bitching about Marvel going woke. Marvel has always been woke. That what the fuck did you think the X-Men was about?
Right.
It's an allegory, you dumb fucks. Like,
it's about homosexuality, just to point it out specifically. And the only anti-hero that almost makes sense is Magneto. Yes,
right. Because it was also the parallels of it are also between the two of them, it's MLK versus Malcolm X.
Yes.
It's somebody
it is
who's
race.
willing.
It is homosexuality. Mm-hmm. It is every nerd, weird, shoved in a closet, kid. Did you ever read Cavalier and Clay?
No.
It got a Pulitzer. You don't have to read it. Mm-hmm. You're great.
Mm-hmm.
I read it because I thought Andy had read it, and we were just dating. And I was like,
read a book. I read a book that you read,
and he was like, "Oh, I never read it." He had 2 copies of it. I was like, "How did I get tricked into reading a Pulitzer Prize-winning book? How did it happen?"
Turns out you do a lot of crazy things for someone you love.
Because I do love a redemption story. Mm-hmm. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
You want to show me the boys redeeming themselves? Yes.
And I'm here for it. Then it's a character arc. It's not just, your rise to being a piece of shit and staying one. Then there's also no fucking hero story.
And using your shit skill of being Dexter against other horrors. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan. Mm-hmm. I mean, I understand the atrocities of war. I genuinely do. I am interested in killing Nazis. Mm-hmm. I don't want to, much like Steve Rogers didn't want to.
Right.
I don't want to kill anybody, but I don't like bullies.
Right.
And if the only way to stop these people is to kill them, that is very sad. And maybe I go to hell for it if I believed in hell. Loophole. So... Did you ever watch Lucifer? Lucifer is a redemption story. Did you ever read Lucifer? No. Lucifer, an amazing redemption story about, this is actually, because Lucifer was created by, he just had his own problem, Neil Gaiman. So Neil Gaiman made Sandman. Mm-hmm. In the Lucifer character in Sandman was spun off by Mike, forget his last name, whatever. Amazing. 75 issues. I could only recommend it because it's about how Lucifer gives up the keys to hell because he's like, it's an ineffable plan. God's ineffable plan. He was like, this was God's ineffable plan that I would torture souls forever. Mm-hmm. I don't want to. And so in Sandman,
it's like, somebody else do it. I don't want to do this shit.
I'm not enjoying this. This implies that this is something I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. And so he gave the keys to hell to Sandman in Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Mm-hmm. And then he just he moves to LA and he opens up a jazz bar. He likes jazz, it turns out. and then he spends... So the arc of Lucifer is him finding out, because God pops up occasionally and goes, yeah, that was part of my ineffable plan that you would give up hell. And Lucifer's like, you son of a bitch. Leave me the fuck alone.
Stop saying you called it.
Yeah.
All the time. It's so goddamn annoying. Stop fucking saying you called my life.
Why are you such a piece of shit? And so he spends his life, like he spends the arc trying to, he's like, I'm going to create a universe where you're not in it. You don't get to call the shots. And at the end of it, God keeps trying to sort of stop him. And then God goes, what if this is part of mine? I mean, literally, it's like your older brother just going,
I'm not touching you.
I'm not touching you. Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? Stop hitting yourself. And Lucifer's like, I cannot stand you. Just somewhere where there's no one. Not you. I'm alone. How about that? And it made me laugh so hard when it finally, I mean, it's a little bit of a spoiler, except for that the journey is a delight.
It's worth it, yeah.
Like Casey? No, that's not right. Anyway, but that's a redemption story.
Mm-hmm.
I want to watch that. I liked, Mark Waid wrote an amazing story about when Superman snaps. And it's called Irredeemable.
Mm-hmm.
Or Incorruptible.
Well, I think that's what I think that's where that show Invincible that's
right.
basically the premise. It seems like that's the premise of that.
That's the premise of that.
Yeah.
About his dad.
Yeah.
But if you read the comics,
mm-hmm.
and I did,
mm-hmm.
it doesn't get better.
Yeah.
I stopped reading it. It turns out the guy wrote it as the guy I think who founded Image Comics. Mm-hmm. And I think he got bored with him being redeemed. I was like, then just end it.
Yeah, you could just end it. You don't have to. Again, you don't have to be a villain.
He doesn't have to fall off a cliff and of morality. You can die with your boots on, man. It's like everybody was like the 27 Club,
mm-hmm.
right? The singers who all died when they were 27.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or the 27 Club, or I think 33 is the other one. Those are the two numbers. But yeah, I remember the 27 Club. They were
right. It was Janis Joplin mm-hmm. and left-handed guitarist who was the best.
Jimi Hendrix.
Thank you. It's password. Anyway, so but I think there's so much. I think about George Carlin
mm-hmm.
dying after figuring out his life.
Yeah.
He didn't die like Mitch Hedberg.
Mm-mm.
I loved Mitch Hedberg. But if you tried to watch Mitch Hedberg do stand-up the last 6 months of his life, you would burst into tears.
Yeah.
You're just like, no, I really hope you figure out how not to do heroin.
Yeah.
You're not you're not some crazy anti-hero because you died doing heroin.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah.
And die a drunk. And an abuser. You can get some goddamn help. Don't do it alone.
Well, that's there's always been that whole lie in the arts that like you have to, once you're this great mind who does all this, like you have to stay on all of this great, all this, you have to stay on all these substances to stay great and all this other shit. Like that's the thing that's, you know, it's plenty
the great
of people.
Lie.
Yeah,
it's the big lie.
Mm-hmm.
And when you, I was just reading it was like, it's some self-help stuff, right? So, but it was a great message of, you know, when I decided many years ago, I decided that I didn't want to be a piece of shit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I decided I wanted a whole life, which meant that I wanted to get a boyfriend, and I wanted, and I didn't want to, we didn't have to get married. We didn't have to hire the caterers.
Yeah.
But I was going to allow a dude to be nice to me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to keep having crushes on guys that didn't like me or were gross.
Right.
Because they were funny
mm-hmm.
or because they were smart or
turns out a lot of times you develop a sense of humor to hide your grossness.
Yes. Right? And so, yes. And so, but I wanted, you know, it was like, I was like, I'm sick of just getting laid. What would it be like to have sex with someone I liked who liked me back?
Mm-hmm.
And more than twice or once.
Yeah.
And I was in my late 30s, ladies and gentlemen. Never too late to give it a shot. And, but when I decided to do that, I also decided that I was, you know, I had come to several where I was going to be honest.
Right.
And I learned about honesty initially when I went to college, and I met people who were honest.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, that actually, no, people don't actually do that. Don't do that. And I was like, why wouldn't I do that? And they're like, they're an idiot. Why wouldn't I take their shit? And you're like, well, because it's not yours. And how about that? And I was like, oh.
Imagine with these things happening to you, would you like them to happen to you?
Blah,
No,
blah,
yeah.
Just very basic messages of decency.
Right, because you have to unlearn the weird and incorrect things that you've learned.
As a child.
Yeah.
So, and as I learned them, so in my late 30s, I genuinely learned, I was like, because I would think to myself, well, if I have to be honest in all things,
why am I not being honest with myself?
Well, there's that. But I was thinking, how am I going to make a living?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm not lying about something, if I'm not doing, well, it turns out there will be work.
Yeah.
If you are honest, you will. I live indoors, haven't been dishonest in 20 odd years.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't stolen anything. It's been great. You know, and if I don't live in fear, it turns out nature hates a vacuum, and like courage comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because for years I was like, I'm going to be courageous. I have always wanted to be the hero.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to fix shit. I've always wanted to I can fix your life better than my own.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it's easier when you can see it from the outside. You don't
drone's
have your own...
eye view.
Yeah.
Right there. And, but I was like, I'm going to be super, but I was coming from a place where I'm like, I'm scared. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to be afraid. But once I sort of calmed the inner voice inside of me that was afraid, regular courage came in.
Yeah, because people who aren't afraid don't have to tell themselves they're not afraid.
Yeah.
So it's like, so that's the whole thing is if you are living in fear, if you're constantly have to tell yourself that I'm not scared, that you're trying to convince yourself. It's like a Delulu land thing. Like, and if you are scared, I say, do it scared, do the thing.
Yeah, do the thing scared.
Pursue the thing scared. But there is, in the quiet moments, there is a conversation to be had with oneself where.
And it's all about, because it's about willingness and it's about acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm willing to accept the consequences of standing up to somebody, then I'm not afraid. Because I know, I see the possible roads. You know, one of my fans, because I used to do this bit about being a meat shield, right? And just getting in the way of bad,
get in the way of bad behavior.
Get in the way of
like
bad
at
behavior.
Home Depot, yeah.
Right. And just being aware of what those consequences are, because it is hard to confront.
Yeah.
And so this guy told me that it came sideways, but the deal was this. He was in line at Chipotle, and there was a kid in front of him, two kids in front of him, like a 15-year-old and 11-year-old. And the 15-year-old kept punching his little brother on the arm hard enough for it to hurt in the same spot, so it would clearly be a bruise.
Yeah.
And he just kept hitting him. And this guy was like, I want to interfere, but is this kid got a knife, or is he gonna punch me?
15-year-old kid. You were scared of a 15-year-old kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
okay, go finish. Sorry.
I got mugged
no
once
judgment. No
by a
judgment.
15-year-old kid. But right before, and so the person in front of them goes, and so right when the person working Chipotle line said, "You're next," to the two kids, he punched his little brother in the solar plexus and knocked the wind out of him. And the guy my fan guy he was shaking. He was like, I got to do something about this. And so then he doesn't. He gets in line, he gets his food, he sits down. He sees the two boys with their mother. And he just stands up and he goes and he narcs on them to their mother. And he's shaking and he's like, I don't want to do this, but you've got to know that your older boy
is beating the shit out of your younger boy.
Is beating the shit
in front of all of us.
And we all saw it. And it isn't good. And it's terrible. And he knocked the wind out of him. And if you look at his shoulders, probably, and the mother was like, thank you.
Thanks for telling me.
Thanks for telling me.
He's probably sneaking and hiding it and doing it when she's not looking, you know.
Right.
Yeah, being an asshole, again, hiding
right.
it. Yeah.
But this guy, he had to go sit down and he had to sit with the silence. and he had to find the courage. You know, he just had to, because he didn't want, and so, I mean, the 15-year-old was probably bigger than him, you know?
Yeah.
There are very large 15-year-old boys, and he didn't know. And confrontation itself is hard.
Yeah.
Strangers
it goes back
are hard.
to saying no.
Right.
It's a form of confrontation. People are fucking pussies.
But I was so right. People are pussies. We're all pussies. We're all pussies until we aren't.
Exactly.
And you have to either find that quiet space inside of yours, like, I have to say something because this isn't okay. Whatever happens to me, I will react to it when it happens. You know, it's not a death wish. Whatever happens to me, man, I'll die.
Whatever, caution to the wind. Punch me. Chin first.
Yeah, you don't have to go, what are you going to, I've been hit. What are you going to hit me? And no, whatever, you will dodge. How about that?
Yeah.
Sometimes you think about that and you go, well, he might try to hit me. I think I will dodge and then maybe run.
Yeah.
And right? Because there's no shame in running from someone who's
There's
going
a
to
reason
hit you.
it's fight or flight. It's the two main things.
Right. Say the thing, the just thing, and then try not to get killed.
Yeah.
Right? Respond to whatever those consequences are. And accepting those consequences and having a willingness to be in that moment.
Yeah. And I think that's where I think that's where a lot of the social anxiety and stuff like that is, people being so fearful of all these possible outcomes that it becomes overwhelming. You become overstimulated, all that. But it's just like, at the end of the day, most of those things are not going to happen.
That's it.
Most of those things are not going to happen. And that's like one of the ways you can kind of talk yourself down into going into a social situation, is most of those things aren't. Nobody's thinking about you as much as you're thinking about you.
And think about the worst thing that's ever happened to your life. It might be sad. It might be terrifying. It might be both of those things. You survived the worst day of your life. I've survived 100% of my bad days. This day is probably not going to be as bad as that. Guess what? Probably going to live.
And then that's the other thing too, is I always kind of equate it to exercise. Doing the right thing as exercise is, at the end, you feel really good.
Yeah,
you're doing something good for yourself. You're doing something good, period. Guess what happens after that? You feel good.
Right.
After you calm down and you're no longer scared anymore, you're like, fuck yeah, I did it. And then that is positive reinforcement for you to do it again, because you want to get back to that place where you're like, I did something good.
Right. So Irredeemable and Incorruptible are parallel stories, sort of like Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow. And that guy's a piece of shit. It's hard to read those books. Orson Scott Card. Anyway, but Irredeemable was written by Mark Waid, and Incorruptible is the second one. So Irredeemable is about the Superman character who snaps and kills like 2 billion people. And the story is about how all the rest of the superheroes and whoever the hell will help have to join forces to throw him into the sun to get to put him down somehow.
To keep him down, yeah.
And Incorruptible is the parallel story about a supervillain who was like, oh, I guess I have to be a superhero now because this guy just killed 1.3 billion people and he's just going to kill everybody. And it's the story of how he redeems himself.
Right.
Incorruptible. And his superpower is weird, by the way. The Incorruptible guy, the longer he stays awake, the more powerful he is. But one of the reasons he's so grumpy
is because he's no sleepy.
Yeah, no sleepy.
No sleepy.
It turns out. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's a weird twist on his weird superpowers. Yeah. But he does help people. And I love the idea of you've done something shitty. That's not an anti-hero.
That's not an anti-hero.
That's a hero story.
That's a hero story.
I was a hunk of junk and did horrible things. Here is my redemption. And it's not, it's sort of like paying, going to prison and do your time, right? You do your time. You'd fix the things you've done wrong and you don't do them again.
Right.
I mean, one of the great ways of not being a horrible person is to not do the horrible things you've done before again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great, It's a great release.
It's an improvement.
It's such an improvement. Step 1, don't do it again.
Right.
Step 2, if you stole money from somebody, give it back to them if you
that's
can.
why, I mean, that's also why the prison and industrial complex is fucking trash, because they don't try to rehabilitate anybody. They
it's over.
It ends up, people end up getting worse and all that other shit.
In the 60s and 70s, there was so much talk about rehabilitation and reassimilating people back into society. And then in the 80s, and
again, Reagan, because this goes with everything. This is when we lose all of the socialist shit that we have in our country. At that time, that's when people had to start going into debt to go to college. That was the same time when
they took away Social Security, because my mother died when I was 7. I got her Social Security till I turned 18. My older siblings, if they went into college, they got it for the following 3-4 years. If they stayed in college full time, I would have gotten it for college, but they canceled it the year I turned 18, which was in 1983. And that he was 1982 was when he was elected. 80, I think, actually. It took him. Did he do 2 terms? I don't
remember. I think so.
I think he did.
He was too well liked by all the money in this country for him to not.
And the evangelicalism. I mean, it all dates back to him. But anyway, but there was rehabilitation and there was reassimilating people back into society. But yes, it was abandoned in the 80s, and now we have people who don't even belong in jail, and it's slave labor, and it's enormously. And they're private prisons, and they're hiring them out for pennies on the day, and we got a lot of things to fix.
Yeah,
and they're breaking more things as we speak.
Yes. We're in the middle of a toddler tantrum, going, "Oh no!
Wait,
no,
not that!
Fuck! I'm gonna have to pay for this."
Right? He has a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the Oval Office, and I just want to go, "Hey, man, there's like 15 of those. If you could not, I know they printed." Several hundred, but there's only a finite amount. Please, I know it's just paper. You know, when the end of V for Vendetta, when anonymous guy is going to send,
when they do all the explosions,
the bombs into Big Ben and the Parliament building, and the woman is like, "But it's the Parliament building. They built it in the 1300s," and he was like, "It's just a building. They'll rebuild it."
Yeah.
When you think about Notre Dame going on fire 10 years ago, turns out they put it back.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's not the original rocks.
Yeah.
But it turns out they have the plans.
Yeah.
They can rebuild it. It's okay.
They can make a carbon copy pretty easily.
Save the clock tower. Yeah. Back to the future. Save the clock tower. Anyway.
Is there any one final one that you something you don't like? Maybe in a different realm?
In a different realm. Like
in relationships, in your family,
cilantro?
Traveling.
Is it something? Is there?
Do you have the mutation where it tastes like soap?
I don't. What don't I like that people? Some people really like their you know.
It's difficult for the golden retriever. You don't like birthday cake?
It's not my favorite. It's here's the thing about food. This'll eat whatever you put in front of me.
Yeah.
But if it were a choice between cake or no cake, I usually go no cake.
What would be in place of it? Would you rather have like a big cookie for your birthday, or
I'd rather have ice cream cake.
Okay.
I love ice cream cake because I love ice cream.
But it's just like a sheet cake, like a regular ass, like when you go to a diner and you
dry and you're just like, what are you doing to me? And or I like pie better. I used to only like pumpkin pie.
Really?
Right.
That is a hot take right there.
There's a hot take.
That's probably that's pretty low on the threshold for good pie is pumpkin
pie.
I
think my current favorite pie is cherry pie. Do you know why? Because I had good cherry pie. I think I had only had really bad pie. There's any number of foods like that from my childhood. Pancakes, never liked pancakes.
Turns out they were eating bad pancakes.
Turns out I was eating either wet pancakes or dry pancakes. Nancy Kashian, Bisquick, fail. I don't even understand. It's a box. Are you not measuring the amount?
How do you fuck up the mix and pour? How do you
mix and pour pancakes? How can they be she was overdoing them on Tuesdays because we had pancakes twice a morning, twice a week. And Thursdays, she would add fruit to the pancakes and not adjust the amount of liquid.
Oh, yeah.
So wet.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like pancakes. And then now, pancakes are delicious. I had
pancake for the table.
Yesterday. I went to Nat's Early Bite and had blueberries in my pancakes yesterday.
And guess what? It wasn't a soup.
It wasn't a soup. Nothing was wet. I keep hitting microphones. I'm so sorry if
It's
there's
okay. That
crackling
one's not
roast.
on. You're
That
all
one's-
right.
all right. That's okay. Good for me. Same with waffles. Same with cake. Same with pork chops. Nancy Kashian used to burn pork chops, and I was like,
Damn.
they're kind of hockey pucks. And everyone's like, nope,
Mm.
they don't have to be.
Yeah.
Turns out you could just cook it until it was done, and then you have a nice, beautifully cooked pork chop, you weirdo.
Yeah.
Um,
You didn't know.
I didn't know. Broccoli, I was like, why is there so much cheese on it?
Mhm.
Hi. That's actually not broccoli. That's cheese.
Yeah.
And it was Velveeta, which isn't cheese.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there is I'm glad that we have this story because from the other side of it, I get something that I personally don't like is when people are like, you just never had a good thing. You know,
Oh.
they'll do that constantly. Like, oh, I'm not a big sushi person. They're like, you just never had good sushi. You don't know what fucking sushi I've had. I've probably had better sushi than you've had. You live in a landlocked state. I've been
Right.
on the coast, baby.
Right.
I just don't like
someone just killed a tuna and handed me a slab. Is that not sushi?
You know, or yeah, I mean, a classic one is like they'll do it to lesbians. You just haven't had any good dick. Like there's just like this mentality that if you don't like something, it means you haven't had the good version of it.
What did I
or whatever.
say the other day? Because I spent 3 summers in Provincetown, Massachusetts, which is a gay resort.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was going to be gay,
Mm-hmm.
no one would have been more supportive than a town full of gay people.
Yeah.
It didn't take.
Yeah.
It turns out I never even tried to be gay when I lived in P-Town.
Mhm.
I tried to be gay when I lived in Minneapolis, and people were like, you're probably gay. You should just go out and try to be gay. And so I went out and I got drunk and I had the sexy times with a lady. And the next morning I was like, yeah, I feel like I was missing something. I think it was the dick.
Yeah.
I enjoy the penetration of a hot fucking penis.
Mhm.
Weird. Hot peen. Who
Hot
knew?
peen.
Who knew?
Hot peen.
Hot peen.
Hot
Phoebe
peen
Ro-
off the presses.
Hot
You
peen
heard
off
it
the-
here
Phoebe
first.
Robinson. Phoebe Robinson always calls it hot peen. And yeah.
But yeah, it's this. I mean, it's so funny that you say that because I had the same experience. I had a bunch of people just because again, I have fucking PCOS because there's a bit of androgyny here is the older term or a they them if you will now. But
a
it's
tomboy.
Yeah, a tomboy. Any of those terms.
Even though your hair is beautiful.
Thank you.
So girly too.
Is it? Am I doing it right? Because of that, people are like, you're probably a lesbian. You're just hiding. You're denying it. And then I tried to hook up with a chick, and I was so uncomfortable because I
Right.
was like doing this because everyone was telling me that I was gay, but I fucking wasn't.
I was so drunk, I powered through. And I was like, anything? And the other person was like, no, you're not particularly good at it either. And I was like, well, that might be practice.
Yeah.
Don't make me do this a bunch of times I won't like.
Yeah.
And anyway.
But then, later on, then there ended up being people that I was attracted to. And I was like, maybe there is this thing. Maybe it was just not this person that they were forcing
Right.
me to be like, you should be with this person because you're probably gay and they are gay.
Yeah, I think I've made out with, again, very drunk. At
Yeah.
least 2, maybe 3.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 3 ladies.
Yeah.
And making out's fine. A mouth is a mouth, quite honestly. And if you like them, it's different. I didn't mind making out with. I like making out with people.
That was
I
always
just
my
make out
thing.
with the one person now. Just if Andy's watching, just you, me and you, we make out.
But that was whenever I was being promiscuous or in it, like that mood. It was
Where
always,
you were in the mood
I just wanted to
something.
smooch something. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
want to
yeah.
smooch. I want to smooch.
What am
Maybe that's it. Again, that's why I think the
what Laura
fluidity.
House says is pies, guys, and it's guys, pie, booze, pies, and guys. It was something like that.
Mhm.
It was like those are the three things that she's kind of addicted to. It's a liquor, guys, and and she's like, whether or not they wanted to make out, I'd be like, we're making out,
Mhm.
and
Well, that seems like a little bit on the side of assault, but
right,
But yeah, making
right?
out was everybody was a probably equal opportunity employer as
Yeah.
far as that goes.
Who doesn't like
get a
making out?
smooch? Yeah, get a smoocheroo. Do you have anything you want to plug? Tell our audience
Oh,
about?
hey, I'm doing a new album. Is this coming out today?
Coming out next week.
Next week. Okay. So I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan, doing the stand-up comedy in July, the 11-12, if you're in Michigan. And then I'm in London, England,
Mhm.
July 23rd, if you're in London, England,
Mhm.
or somewhere near London, England. July 23rd. And then I'm working, and I have other dates on JackieKashian.com. But what you should know is I'm doing a new album in a new hour. So it's all stuff like if you've listened to my past 5 to 7 albums, then
This is stuff that's not on those.
this is not stuff that's on November 8th, Portland, Oregon.
That's where you're gonna film it.
That's where we're going to film it.
Very nice.
Very
so
nice.
if you're in Portland, go see the filming of the new bits, the new
Altercation.
gigs and
That's what
bits
it's
and
called.
Altercation. Very nice. Well, wonderful. Patreon.com/NoSirPod if you want to throw money at the podcast. It just goes to this.
Yeah.
Being able to have video and all that other shit. And CarmenMorales.com for all of your Carmen Morales needs. I got all my dates listed on the website. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you. 200 episodes, baby, through all of its iterations. I know there's like a handful of people who've been here since the beginning of it, back when I used to do it with Brian Vokey. Thank you. Thanks for still being here. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Bye.
No, sir, I don't like it.